Illinois State from the Missouri Valley Conference. Both of these teams playing for the right to move on and take on either number 1 Old Dominion or 8th-seeded Charleston Southern. That game right now on ESPN3. I'm Mike Cousins with former Horizon League Coach of the Year, Paul Biancardi. Let's take a look at Green Bay and Kiefer Sykes.
Now keep your eye on Kiefer Sykes, the 2-time Horizon League Player of the Year. Explosive, quick, with an extra burst of speed. He owns NBA athletic ability.
And Illinois State led by a senior out of Baltimore.
Deshaun Knight leads the Redbirds and ranks 5th in the Valley in scoring.
Here's Kiefer Sykes, hoping that tonight is not his last collegiate game. The senior out of Chicago, averaging 19 points and 4 assists. So it's Green Bay on the road in their black and green uniforms, and the Redbirds at home in the white. Sykes and the Phoenix control to open things up.
See Illinois State coming right out in the zone.
And Alfonso McKinney, the senior from Chicago, knocks down the opening shot for the Phoenix. Experimental rules being used in this year's NIT. The shot clock down from 35 seconds to 30 seconds. And the restricted arc, you see there's 2 of them in the paint. They'll be playing with a 4-foot arc here tonight. That is designed to try and reduce contact collisions underneath the baskets. Junior Devon Purcell gets the first 2 for Illinois State.
And Illinois State, the best offensive rebounding team in the Valley. Almost 13 a game on the offensive glass.
They also lead the league in block shots and steals. Under Dan Muller, a great defensive player here at Illinois State. They've become a good defensive team. And they force the turnover as they look for the baseline, and Mays. Purcell draws contact in the lane, and he's going to the line to shoot 2.
Mike, Illinois State coming out in that zone. Green Bay, not a great outside shooting team. Illinois State, even worse. So that zone's going to make Green Bay try to score over the top.
Dan Muller, who played here at Illinois State from 94 to 98. A 21-12 record coming into tonight's action. And Purcell, who averages 13 points a game, second leading scorer. Good with his first. Brian Wardle, who played his college basketball at Marquette under Tom Crean, has had back-to-back great seasons in the NIT for the 2nd straight year.
2 outstanding young coaches whose names may be mentioned for some job openings.
Wardle, only 35. His name has been thrown out there in the all-coaching search already. And Dan Muller, only 39 years old. McKinney gets back iron, offensive rebound in and out of the hands of Faust, but last touched by the Redbirds.
Jordan Faust just does a little bit of everything well for this Green Bay team. He scores, he rebounds, blocks shots, and he's a facilitator. Just the X factor for this team. We know about Kiefer Sykes, but Faust is the guy to be a big X factor for this team.
Well, that's an experienced starting lineup for Brian Wardle as well. We put 3 seniors and 2 juniors out on the floor. Working against the zone defense at Illinois State. Faust now has it. Only 15 on the shot clock. Baseline try is no good, but it's a foul.
And it's a foul that Reggie Lynch does not want to pick up. Standing with his hands straight up. You see him in the paint, in the red, 22 in the white. Standing there trying to get outside the restricted arc, which is at a 4-foot mark right now. If you can't get there, you got to stay still. You don't want to create the contact and pick up. That's a cheap foul. And he's so important to this Illinois State team. An anchor in the middle, a legitimate scoring threat inside.
Their 3rd leading scorer, 9 points a game, and the leading shot blocker in the Missouri Valley Conference as well. Second try doesn't go for Faust. And a foul called against the Phoenix going the other way as Illinois State goes on offense. Paul, let's take a look at their keys for tonight's game.
Well, for Illinois State, they cannot allow space for Sykes. That means they cannot give him space to the basket. In the conversion game, they have to build a wall in the half court. They have to stay in front of him and show the help. Take away his vision and his space. And they also have to utilize their size inside with George Lynch. For Green Bay, it's all about the experience. You mentioned it, Mike. 3 seniors, 2 juniors, in the starting lineup. This group is 45 and 15 in the last 2 years, and they have to protect the glass because Illinois State, #1 in the Valley in offensive rebounding.
Sykes tries the three, and it rattles off. Another offensive board. Carrington Love hauls it in. You mentioned earlier, Paul, neither of these teams are great three-point shooting teams. That's a travel on Mays, so back to Illinois State.
But they're two outstanding offensive rebounding teams. Green Bay gets after it on the glass, second in the Horizon League. Illinois State, as I mentioned, they not only lead in offensive rebounds, but they lead in offensive rebounding percentage. They get 37% of their misses. That's a lot.
Akun Purcell walked with it, so back-to-back turnovers by the Redbirds. A traveling call on Paris Lee, and that time on Akun Purcell. Very hard worker, a guy who came from junior college, Eastern Oklahoma State College, and Dan Muller says his adaptation was quicker than just about any JUCO player he's ever had.
And you don't see that a lot by junior college players. They usually need that first year to adjust. And you usually get one good year out of it. Akun Purcell is just outstanding right away.
Corner tries short for Love, and Lee pushes the pace. Got a 30-second shot clock during the NIT, but both coaches, Brian Wardle for Green Bay, Dan Muller for Illinois State, said, look, I like it, but it probably won't make a big difference. We like to score quickly. And John Jones goes off the window for two.
Beautiful pass by Akun Purcell off the pick and roll.
Jones, the big man, senior, the only player on the roster recruited by former head coach Tim Jankovic, replacing Lynch, who's got that one foul. Now the ball goes back the other way. Illinois State up by a couple buckets.
Watch the execution, a simple pick and roll. Jones just dives. Akun Purcell has two, recognizes the opening. Beautiful pass, on time, on target, with the bounce.
So 5 straight empty trips for Green Bay. Illinois State with a 4-point advantage. Team that finished 3rd in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. Northern Iowa and Wichita State ahead of them. Alon Faust is second.
Akun Purcell, he's a hard driver. Junior college player, he's a little bit stronger. Said to us yesterday, I had to realize that I had to work hard if I wanted to be good. He's been very good this year, the newcomer of the year in the Missouri Valley.
He told us yesterday at their practice he had some great offers: Virginia Tech, Indiana, Marquette, Ole Miss, Auburn. But it was an interesting reason he said he wanted to come here, Paul.
The fit, it was perfect for him. A lot of guys want to go and play, Mike, in the bright lights. And sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. But Akun Purcell realized that he could be special here, and he has been.
And he scored or assisted on all 8 of the Redbird points here in the first 3.5 minutes.
Now 3/4 court pressure at 2-2-1 with a 30-second shot clock. I love that idea. It eats into that low clock. Back to a 2-3 zone. They have 2 zones, Illinois State, a 2-3, and they have a point zone.
And so far, it's done a great job of forcing the Phoenix to turn it over. 4th time they've given it up. It was McKinney who hit that first field goal on the game's opening possession, and they have not scored since. Lee, a hop, a step, and a jump. Counted in the foul.
Paris Lee, 1 in the white. Operates in a pick and roll. The jump stop, the bump, the finish.
Welcome back to Redbird Arena. A 10-0 lead, or 10-2 lead for Illinois State. They've got on a 10-0 run. Mike Cousins, Paul Biancardi, thanks for being with us here. First round of the NIT. Both of these teams so close to the NCAA tournament, lost by 10 points or fewer in their conference championships games, but they're still hungry tonight.
After speaking with the coaches and players for each team, yes, they were disappointed, but they never got discouraged. They're fired up for this tournament. They're grateful for an opportunity to win a championship. 2 exciting teams, Mike, that are very athletic.
Lee gets the free throw, so that's 11 straight points for Illinois State after the foul call from the freshman at Deshaun Francis. And you look back at the conference championship games for these teams. Green Bay lost to Valpo. They'll be taking on Maryland on Friday in the NCAA tournament. That was a 10-point game. And then back on March 8th, you got to go back 10 days. It's a foul and hard contact under the basket. Illinois State lost to Northern Iowa 69-60 at the end of Arch Madness. So a 4-5 matchup for two teams that were right on the cusp, 20 minutes away from being in the NCAA tournament. Old Dominion and Charleston Southern, the winner of that game, awaits in the second round.
And that's going to be a game of defense. Old Dominion, top 10 in the nation in points allowed under Jeff Jones. Charleston Southern, they throw up 76 points a game. I love the different styles of play and the tempos and who's going to impose their will on the other team. That's what makes conference tournaments and postseason play so exciting.
Khalil Small, the freshman from Chicago, at the line. That clanks away. The foul preceded that was on John Jones, the senior, and a 9-point edge for Illinois State.
Illinois State, a simple pick and roll, a roll and replace up top, good spacing. You're seeing Green Bay in their man-to-man, on and up the line, trying to define the wing.
Here's Sykes with the basketball, who last year missed the NIT game for Green Bay against Belmont. An 80-65 loss at the Resch Center up in Green Bay. So they're happy to have him back, and he's trying to extend his college career. It's been a great 4 years with the Phoenix. That was the only game of his career that he's missed, was last year in the NIT. Kenneth Lowe, short distance, drops it in and ends nearly a 5-minute scoreless drought for the Phoenix.
You don't want to get the ball to the middle of the floor against the zone. Anytime you get it to the elbows or to the paint area, you can score it or reverse it.
Kyle McIntosh. Now Sykes pushing.
McIntosh, a big, strong, small forward.
Francis, a little too strong on the pass in transition.
Green Bay denying Deshaun Knight, number 3 in the white, the basketball. Look where he catches the basketball, near half court. The leading scorer for the Redbirds. You got to stay close and stay connected to this young man. They switch that ball screen.
One-on-one in the post, shot clock at 7, and the jump hook short from Jones.
I thought with the switch, Knight would have kept his dribble alive and tried to drive the switch. Great passing by the Phoenix. Maybe one extra pass too much. When Sykes gets into the gap, he's got to look to score. Very unselfish player. 24 in the black, 2-time Horizon League Player of the Year.
Yeah, he did a good job of that in the Horizon League championship game against Valparaiso. Had 14 points. Unfortunately, the surrounding cast wasn't there. Nobody else scored in double digits. Offensive board, second try, no good, as Hawkins put it back up.
You have to put a body on Illinois State. They're going to send 3 to the glass, and they have Power 5 conference size. John Jones, you see him right there, 6'9", 260 pounds. Reggie Lynch, 22 in the white. He's 6'10", 250 plus. You don't see that size, Mike, in the rest of the Valley.
Jones just picked up his second foul, so he may be done for the rest of the half. Lynch in the middle of that zone has 1 already. That 3 missed everything for Khalil Small. Coast to coast. Now Lynch fights for it. Akun Purcell in the lane. Another offensive board. Hometown crowd wants a foul. They don't get it. The Phoenix running, and Sykes has the lane open up and goes off glass.
The Redbirds just relentless on the glass, but they came up empty. Sykes in conversion.
Here comes the double team on Lynch. Knight, and he's fouled on the floor. The 2015 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship tips off Friday at noon Eastern on ESPN2. Catch every moment of the tournament on the ESPN family of networks. And for more information, visit NCAA.com, your home for all 89 NCAA championships. Kenneth Lowe charged with a personal foul, his first on Green Bay.
You see Sykes just dive on the floor. These teams are fired up, Mike, both defensively and offensively.
And another foul, that's on Francis, his second on the freshman out of Indianapolis.
Kiefer Sykes, he can get up on you, he can get under you. Look at that pressure, quick hands. He's known as a great offensive player, has over 2,000 points in his career, but he can really defend the ball with his quickness.
Lynch is rejected. Mays coming over from the weak side to swat it away. And the Redbirds are now 0 for their last 7 from the floor.
Greg Mays comes from the weak side. Good timing. He gets it clean, tries to keep it in play. Green Bay, an outstanding shot blocking team.
Lynch down the lane again.
They get 5 blocks a game in the Horizon League. That's number 1.
Green Bay led the conference in blocks 5 a game.
You want to gap this zone now. With 30 seconds, you get 5 less seconds to operate. You got to get into your actions quicker, make decisions a little bit faster.
They pass out of the middle of the zone. Love drives in and drops it off for a waiting Greg Mays.
It was Kenneth Lowe who caught that in the paint. As I mentioned, you can score when you catch it in the paint or reverse it. He made a quick decision against that zone.
Deflection by Love, knocks it out of bounds. It stays with Illinois State when we come back.
Green Bay attacking the zone. To the basket, the dump down. Penetration beats the zone.
Facing zone defense from Illinois State, but finding a way to break it down.
Well, you get it to the heart of the zone defense, near the paint, in the paint. Kenneth Lowe catches it from Sykes. Watch the quick pass as he just skips it opposite for the wide open shot. Drives the closeout, the dump down. Beautiful offensive attack concepts and execution against the zone. Inside out, drive the closeout, and the dump off.
Carrington Love dropping it off for Greg Mays. Love, the junior from Milwaukee. Brian Wardle calls him a gym rat. Consistent night in and night out. And trying to find ways to help his teammates score, because in his last 5 games, he's only shot 6 of 35, 17% from the floor.
Coach Wardle also talked about Kiefer Sykes being a gym rat. Don't you love to hear when the best player on your team is a gym rat? He just sets the example for the program.
Lynch goes to work and gets the foul.
We talked about utilizing the size. A little triangle action. Ball gets to the high post, the cross screen for Lynch. Defense is behind. That's 2 points or free throws.
So Lynch, the sophomore out of Edina, Minnesota. All defensive team in the Valley. And also all Missouri Valley Conference second team player. A 3-point lead for Illinois State. Just about 9 minutes into the first half. You're at Redbird Arena in Normal, Illinois. 1 out of 2 on that trip.
He's got a nice touch for a big guy. He's just got to learn how to play better positional defense. He wants to block everything.
Green Bay going a little bit deeper than normal on its bench right now. They've got Turner Botts, a sophomore guard. Only plays about 8 minutes a game in there because of foul trouble. They've got 3 different players right now. It's Faust, Francis, and Lowe. 2 big men, each of them with 2 fouls. McKinney gets inside and had Akun Purcell trapped under the basket.
Green Bay, an experienced team. Shot clock winding down. They didn't panic. It's a battle-tested, well-coached team. Right to the zone. He was wide open. Nobody got in front of him.
And they call an offensive foul. That goes on Mikhail McIntosh, who in the Valley Championship game played just 16 minutes and fouled out against Northern Iowa.
See the 2-2-1 pressure? It's to slow down and to eat into this 30-second shot clock. If Green Bay can score, they'll take it.
Love instead goes through the middle of it, but it rattles out from 15 feet.
And it creates a tempo for Illinois State that they want. They want to play fast.
Right now, it's an 8-1 run for Green Bay.
Good defensive conversion by Green Bay. Akun Purcell, the versatility to handle, score, and make the assist.
Try for three from their gunner, Justin McLeod. Green Bay retakes possession on the miss.
Justin McLeod, 15 in the white. 6 for 7 from 3 in the Missouri Valley tournament. 81%. He needs a hard closeout. He can stretch the floor. I like the zone defense concept by Illinois State to try to stay in front of Sykes, close the wall on penetration, and make Green Bay beat them from the outside.
Sykes takes the screen, and McKinney, the team's best three-point shooter, lines it up as the shot clock was about 5.
Now for Sykes, he's got to gap that zone more.
Akun Purcell for 3. And Lynch had it bounce away, stolen by Botts.
Or if Green Bay can score before the zone gets set up.
Sykes was able to get down the floor, and that's foul number 2 on Lynch, the big man for Illinois State.
Illinois State getting back on defense. They're trying to stay in front of Sykes. 24 in the black. You see the hands are up. He always sees 1 or 2 defenders. The defense is going to gear on him all game long. They want to take away his vision, crowd his space. What he has to do, Mike, is gap that zone and kick it a little bit faster and a little bit more.
Sykes gets a rare breather. He plays usually about 35 minutes a game. And Botts will sit with him as well. Sykes has his former high school teammate Alfonso McKinney. Both of them played at Marshall High School in Chicago. McKinney at the line. Only 51% at the strike.
And we mentioned these teams don't shoot it well. Combined, they're 0 for 9 from 3. We need to see a long distance shot go in. Green Bay goes to their zone right now. Jordan Faust at the top.
Illinois State would like to see any shot go in. It's more than 5 minutes without a field goal. They've missed their last 10 tries.
That's 6-7. Number 4 in the black at the top of that zone. Big time shot by Lee.
It was a contested look, but he puts it in, and Illinois State in front by 3. Love tries to answer and can't connect. In transition, Knight. Now, first to make a 3 tonight here in Normal, get some kind of prize.
Team that makes a 3 first may win this game. Each team going to their zone defense. Scouting report says neither team really strokes it well. Illinois State less than 30% from 3. Green Bay just a little bit better. So your zone offense after a full season should be sharp right now. Illinois State trying to high ball screen the zone, gap it, and overload. Here's the overload in the corner.
Knight, 8 to shoot. Akun Purcell goes baseline through the defense, and a little bit too strong. No Sykes on the floor. So who will the Phoenix look to take the shot as Faust gets them into the offense?
You'll probably see more passing right now, right to the middle. That's beautiful ball movement.
Great job around the zone, and Mays doesn't get it to drop.
That's a great possession. Not a great finish, but if they move the ball like that, they're going to create great shots to Phoenix.
Lee taking it to the basket, and a foul on the floor. 11 tries from 3 for these two teams. None have gone in, but Illinois State still has a field goal advantage. First round of the National Invitation Tournament here in Normal, Illinois, and the Illinois State Redbirds out of the Missouri Valley with a 3-point lead. Let's go back 8 days at the ARC in Valparaiso, Indiana. Valpo against Green Bay in the Horizon League Championship game. It unraveled for Green Bay late. 54-44 the final score. Kiefer Sykes had 14 points, but the rest of the team couldn't come through. Second straight year now for Brian Wardle and the Phoenix that they've gone to the NIT. It's also 2 straight years, Paul Biancardi, that they were picked to win the Horizon League and did not advance to the NCAA tournament. So, as you know from your time coaching, there are fans will say, well, those last 2 years weren't so successful, but Brian Wardle will counter and say, we're a 1-bid league. Back-to-back NITs is pretty darn good.
It's outstanding. First of all, Valpo is #1 in the Horizon League in field goal percentage defense. And they put the clamps on Green Bay in the second half. Last 2 years in the Horizon League, Green Bay, 26-6, Mike, in league play. That's outstanding. To get to a championship game is a very successful season.
1-1 for Lee, and he earns himself a second. They lost in the championship game, as you saw there, against Valpo. Last year bounced in the early rounds against Milwaukee, which this year, due to APR reasons, was not eligible for the Horizon League Conference tournament. Lee gets a pair and stretches the lead out to 5. Illinois State here in this first half has led by as many as 9.
The Horizon League, under the leadership of John LaCrone, has been extremely competitive. Cleveland State, Gary Waters, unbelievable job there. Billy Donlin at Wright State's been in the championship game twice for Wright State. He battled a lot of injuries this year. Detroit, always a power. Milwaukee and UIC, very strong.
Short corner, and Greg Mays, the senior out of Chicago, hits the shot. UIC right now looking for a new head coach. After 5 years, Howard Moore, no longer the head coach of that program. But in a great recruiting base there in the city.
Unbelievable. In the early 2000s, Jimmy Collins had that program rolling. NCAA tournament and NITs.
Jones playing with those 2 fouls, doesn't get the jump hook again. Now one of their last 14 from the floor. So the Redbirds have gone very cold.
Excuse me, Mike. The Redbirds are doing a great job getting back in defensive conversion. Sykes cannot get a clear path to the rim. The game plan, stay in front of him and show the help as much as possible. They're doing a great job.
Mays with a shot fake. And just off the front iron. And now a whistle off the ball. We've got a loose shoelace to attend to. Well, the Women's Basketball Championship begins Friday on ESPN2. Every team on a mission to take home the title, and a march to glory requires a magical 6-game streak. Who will cut down the nets in Tampa? Well, the odds might say UConn, but we'll have to play it out. It's the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship presented by Capital One. It all starts Friday at noon on ESPN2.
Go with the Dayton Flyers. There you go, my dark horse.
Out on a limb, Paul Biancardi tournament picks.
For the women. You want to know my men's pick? Just tweet me at Paul Biancardi. And it's not going to be Kentucky.
Well, yesterday, 9 NIT games, Paul. The average score by winning teams, 77.7 points. Not on track for that so far tonight. Both of these teams shooting a combined 28%. And Sykes not adding to the numbers for the Phoenix.
And that's not the strength of his game, Sykes. His jump shot it's not great, it's not broken. But the strength of his game is to get to the paint.
Corner try, and there it is from Carrington Love, who shoots 30% from 3.
And to create for his teammates, just like he did on that possession. A nice dig out, nice double.
Love goes to the rim, and he's held up. So Love will shoot.
Look at the ball movement for the Phoenix. The ball reversal, the gap by Sykes, that's what creates open shots. Ball movement, player movement, and dribble penetration. You can screen the zone, slip the zone. A lot of ways to attack the zone. A lot of coaches have plays, and other coaches simply have concepts.
Back to a tie ball game after that three-point bucket. McKinney goes off the window to give Green Bay their first lead since it was 2-0.
Both of these teams have a lot of fight in them. I love the way they said they were excited to be in this tournament, trying to win a championship. You could see it with their defensive effort.
And Paul, that's not the case, as we saw last night, necessarily for every team. That spark for the postseason wasn't there.
Sometimes when you think you should be going to the NCAA tournament and you don't, you get Selection Sunday hangover, Mike. And a couple of teams had that last night. Certainly Illinois, Pittsburgh, and Miami. I mean, they struggled at home without a great crowd against NC Central.
And the winner of this game goes on to see either Old Dominion or Charleston Southern. At last check, it was the 8th seed, Charleston Southern, in the lead. Green Bay now eclipses the 20-point mark on Sykes' first triple of the night.
Sykes can make that shot. It will open up the defense. When his feet are set and he gets a clean look to the basket, look at all the space he has. That's the first good look, Mike, that he's had in this game.
Is that incumbent on #1 Paris Lee to get a little bit further out on the closeout?
Well, he's not a great shooter, but you still want to shade him in the zone because you're nervous about the way he can drive and gap and find his teammates. So a lot of guys you shade because they're shooters. You want to shade Sykes because he's an outstanding creator.
Sykes with 5 right now for Green Bay. It's on a 19-5 run. And it's only a matter of time before Sykes goes off at one point or another. He's scored 10 or more points in 70 of his last 73 games and led the Horizon League in scoring this year at 19 points a game.
He gets a lot of points in conversion. Tremendous at creating fouls. And the two-point shot. That's where his game is best.
Lynch, great position, and uses that to get himself at the free throw line. It's still just one made field goal in about the last 12 minutes for Illinois State. That foul is on Alfonso McKinney, his second and the 9th on the Phoenix.
Great feed. Lynch with the hold off. He loves to drop step to the baseline from either block. One dribble, quick spin. Not a great athlete, but good enough. Does a great job of creating space for the post-up and getting angles to the rim.
Two of 2 for Lynch. Illinois State down by 3. Kept in this one right now because of their free throw shooting. They're 10 of 11 from the line. And they've missed 16 of their 20 shots from the floor. We hit the 4-minute mark here in the first half. Here's Karam Cantor, the younger brother of Ennis Cantor. They've got to put him on the floor. They've only got 3 to shoot. Love heaves it up.
Love almost got lucky. That internal clock in their head is at 35, so they've got to adjust to that 5-second differential.
Here comes Love in a 4-on-2. Baseline for Mays. And the flush.
Great pass by Love.
Corner. McLeod, the transfer from junior college in North Dakota, unable to hit it.
And the Phoenix want to run. They average 72 points a game. Illinois State doing a great job of getting back in defensive conversion, staying in front of the ball.
Sykes with a sweeping step back. Both coaches, when we talked to them, said the 35-second shot clock going down to 30 really wasn't going to be too much of a bother. It hasn't looked like it's been much of a factor. They just haven't shot it particularly well.
How about shooting it bad?
I'd say that's accurate, Paul.
Kind of like how you shot today in horse when I beat you. Bad.
They lost by 4 letters. Cantor swatted by Lynch, the best shot blocker in the Valley. And
That
Lee is
defense
fouled.
was swarming. Green Bay out in the conversion game. Love, giving a little love to Mays. The Phoenix up 5.
Fellas, thank you. With former Horizon Lake Coach of the Year, Paul Biancardi, Mike Cousins, back here with you in Normal, Illinois. Green Bay with a 5-point advantage as these two teams go head-to-head. The 4-5 matchup to see who takes on either number 1 Old Dominion or 8th-seeded Charleston Southern. Green Bay last year lost in the first round of the NIT against Belmont. For Illinois State, it's their first NIT trip since 2012. They beat Ole Miss that year and then lost to Stanford. Their first home game in the NIT since 2008 against the Dayton Flyers. The Brian Gregory era before he went to Georgia Tech in 2011.
Brian Gregory got Dayton to a 4 seed before he took over that Georgia Tech program.
Pressure has been constant in the full court from Illinois State, and Cantor goes off the glass and puts it in.
I love the aggressiveness of the Phoenix, not only to be organized against the press, but to try to beat it and attack it.
Try for Lee, and that goes out of bounds. 1 for their last 19 from the floor.
A little bit of defense, a little bit of offense. But right now, the Phoenix getting down the court for some offense. The ball doesn't stick with the Phoenix. They move it around the perimeter. They only take efficient dribbles. This is a very well-coached team.
And that bucket there for Cantor was his first since this team took on Milwaukee back on February 5th. Francis, the freshman, hangs and delivers.
That's a perfect example of how the ball moves, and the ball will find you.
Jones steps through the double team and gets the reverse layup.
Nice basket, but I love the catch by the big fella. Him and Reggie Lynch have outstanding hands for big men, and that's one of the most important facets you can have as a big man. Great hands.
Cantor with the tip in. He's got 4.
They put Cantor in the middle because he has a high basketball IQ. He doesn't score from the middle of that zone, but he's a good facilitator. Nice job on the glass.
He didn't score much at all, Paul. He only averages 1 point a game and only played in 18 of their 32.
Isn't that what I said? He doesn't score much.
So under a minute here in the first half, what's your thought on how the 30-second shot clock has impacted play so far?
It hasn't impacted it at all, except there has to be more possessions because we have a lower clock. But in terms of how the kids are playing, they just shaved 5 points off of their internal clock, and they've adjusted very well.
Lee in transition gets the foul, and the shot rattles out.
But I'm a big fan of reducing the shot clock to 30 seconds. Strong take. Nice tip by Cantor. Just staying in his lane, doing his job.
Well, Friday softball is back on ESPNU with an SEC top 10 matchup. Number 6, Oklahoma, going to Baton Rouge to take on the number 1 team in the land, LSU, at 27-1. That's Friday at 7 on ESPNU, and watch ESPN. Lee gets both free throws, and Paul, you made the point. 30-second shot clock. It has to be 4 possessions. Doesn't necessarily have to lead to more scoring.
No, it's just going to increase the pace of the game. But those extra possessions, Mike, could be turnovers. They could be offensive rebounds. They could be free throws, which is in turn points. But Illinois State, no fast break points. And this is a team that wants to run, score early in the clock. Their defense has been good, but they're not getting out in conversion fast enough.
And here's what we're looking at this year in the NIT. 30-second shot clock, a 5-second reduction equal to the NCAA women's game, and a 4-foot restricted arc. Now, the purpose of that is to reduce collisions underneath the basket. Brian Wardle talked about it with Kiefer Sykes, specifically to say that probably half of his star guard's turnovers this year have come because players have undercut him at the basket, leading to charges.
Yes, there'll be less collisions and undercuts. I think that's really important. And you have to remember, the defensive player must get his feet outside the arc. Heels cannot be in the air. They have to be flat-footed outside the arc to get the charge.
So over our first 9 games yesterday, about 1 more possession a game and about 5 more points per game thus far in the NIT.
I think we're going to see a lot more hard and soft presses with a 30-second shot clock. We're going to see more zone defense.
A great rise and deliver by Mays, and that winds down the first half. So Illinois State was at one point out in front 10-2, but Green Bay outscores the Redbirds 29-13 over the final 16 minutes. It's time for the ESPNU halftime report with Dino Gaudio. Here's Matt Schick.
All right, thank you, fellas. Matt Schick, Dino Gaudio here. Let's take
10 shots. Green Bay did not. 7-point lead here at the half. Second half, Paul like that.
Back to normal Illinois, we get set for the second half in Green Bay with a 7-point lead over Illinois State. Mike Cousins, former Horizon League Coach of the Year, Paul Biancardi. Experimental rules this year in the NIT. 35-second shot clock sliced to 30 seconds. Leads to more possessions, but in this game, not necessarily more scoring.
Well, for Illinois State, there's just no flow right now on offense. They have no fast break points. They're 0 for 7 from the three-point line. They are scoring from the foul line, but Deshaun Knight, their best player, has only got 2 shots. But how about Green Bay on offense? They attack the Illinois State zone inside out. They drive the closeout. Love drops it off. Great execution against the zone. Now a double screen against man-to-man. Sykes comes off the double, decides not to curl it, but pops straight out. May slips, pops wide open. John Jones, Illinois State is in no man's land. Mays makes the jump shot to put the Phoenix up 7.
So a combined 2 of 18 from the three-point line, and Green Bay shooting 45% out of this world versus 20%, but 14 of the 24 points for Illinois State have come from the free throw line. Illinois State 10 points on field goals and the other 14 from the stripe. So they played that great zone defense that helped them to a win over Wichita State in Arch Madness. Doing it well here against Green Bay, but they've got to get their scoring going.
And Green Bay's defense, give them a lot of credit. They played a 3-2 zone with Faust on top. They've been very stingy in the man-to-man.
Lynch had the offensive board. It's poked away. Last touch by the Phoenix.
But the weakness for each team, and whoever moves forward, is the three-point shot.
Winner of this game goes on to face either Old Dominion, the #1 seed, or Charleston Southern, the 8th seed. And Charleston Southern had the lead at halftime, but Old Dominion has come back to take the advantage in the second half. And there are 8 minutes left in that game.
Jeff Jones, former Virginia head coach, has done an outstanding job.
Count the bucket and 1 for Devon Akun-Purcell.
But that's just a little simple weave action. Too many gaps in that zone defense by Green Bay. Akun-Purcell turns the corner, takes the hit, gets it high off the glass.
Akun-Purcell missed 7 games earlier this year due to a broken hand. He broke it against DePaul back in December. 21 games Dan Muller had players miss this year due to injuries, and Akun-Purcell was a big part of that.
Coach Muller did a great job of keeping his team together through the adversity of the injuries in a physical and tough Missouri Valley Conference.
And quite often when they won big, and when they lost by very tight margins. Lee doesn't get it. Lynch gets the bucket and the foul. Back-to-back and ones for the Redbirds. And a timeout taken by Brian Wardle. and Green Bay. So all of a sudden, the Redbirds on their home court, they want their season to continue. Life is back for Illinois State.
Illinois State on the offensive glass. Reggie Lynch right there, watch him. He doesn't stop moving off the pick and roll to the basket. Relentless on the glass. He averages 3 offensive rebounds a game. And Alfonso McKinney for Green Bay watches the ball, but he never blocks out his man. Illinois State needs the offense.
And it was the first bucket for Lynch, who averages 9 points a game. He makes it a 3-point play. With that, turns it into a 2-point game.
When you score at home, it gets the crowd right into the game.
Sykes has already lined it up once from deep, and Akun Purcell corrals a miss. Both of these teams were 20 minutes away from going to the NCAA tournament. Green Bay led Valpo at the half in the Horizon League championship game. Illinois State had a 36-22 lead over Northern Iowa in the Valley championship game.
Dan Muller working the official on that one. He wanted a foul.
There's been a lot of physical play unwhistled underneath both baskets tonight. McKinney playing with 3 fouls, unable to get the offensive rebound, and it's into the hands of the sophomore point guard Lee. Knight only took 2 shots in the first half, misses that one, a foul on the floor. Second round action of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship begins tomorrow on CBS, PBS, TNT, and True TV at noon Eastern. For more information on tournament game times and listings, go to ncaa.com. Foul trouble now for the Phoenix. Jordan Faust, one of their best defenders, just picked up his 4th foul, not 3 minutes in here to the second half.
They're going back to Lynch. Oh, lazy pass by Lynch. You see he was straight up when he passed it. Didn't have his knees bent. That's a sloppy turnover.
And a great job by Deshaun Francis to step in front, take it away. The foul called on Deontay Hawkins, his first.
He's got a few scratches on that right arm. This game is intense and it's physical. Good defense by Green Bay in that last possession, digging it out. Mike, both teams very athletic, quick, fast, and strong.
Francis with a baseline try. No. Second chance. Falters off the rim.
Give Green Bay an A+ for effort on the glass. Got to convert.
Knight stripped by Sykes. Here he comes. 1-on-3. Behind the back. Francis to the rim. And a loose inbounds pass goes out of bounds. Hawkins trying to lead Akun Purcell a little bit too far.
Kiefer Sykes excels in the conversion game. Whether he's getting buckets or facilitating the little glance to see the trailer. Great court awareness, basketball IQ by the point guard.
Beautiful pass for Sykes, who was 4th in the Horizon League in assists during the regular season.
I bet you he threw a lot of passes that guys couldn't even catch. Probably should have 5 assists per game.
Francis swatted away by Lynch. Lee on the move and a kick out. 3-point try. And it drops home for Deshaun Knight.
The first 3-point shot for the Redbirds tonight.
1 out of 9. They were 0 for 7 in the first half. Foul on Knight.
The defense by Illinois State. Lynch with the block. The push by the Redbirds down the floor. Lee penetrating fine. Knight knocks it down.
We welcome you back here to Redbird Arena in Normal, Illinois. A 1-point lead for Green Bay. It's a 4 versus a 5. And Old Dominion has won. The #1 seed prevails 65-56 after they trailed 8th-seeded Charleston Southern at halftime. On the other side of the bracket, Tulsa, which had a great year in the American, take on Murray State on Monday.
Whoever wins this game, you better work on your offense, because Jeff Jones has Old Dominion top 10 in the nation in points allowed. They only give up 56 points a game.
Lynch steps in front, has the steal. And it's poked away. Here comes Love and the Phoenix. Phelps at both ends of the floor. Offensive board, Lynch.
Great job on the glass by Lynch. The #2 rebounder in the Valley keeps the ball alive. Gives his team extra possession, so vital.
Lynch immediately felt the double team, kicks it out, and Tony Wells hits front iron.
He can learn, Lynch, just to get a little bit lower, bend his knees, and not to relax in the post. He can be outstanding in the future. Really nice.
Sykes sweeps his way into the lane, and a miss.
It's tough to score against the size of the Redbirds.
Great size for a team that finished 3rd in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. Lynch draws the double team, and the left-handed shot put puts the Redbirds in front for the first time since it was 16-13.
He was working on that exact move, the left-handed hook in shoot-around this afternoon.
And he comes up with another stop, denying Maves.
Keep going to Lynch.
Wide open look in the lead. Got it! It's a 13-2 run as the Redbirds have a 4-point advantage with 14-12 here in the second half.
Well, when you see Lynch right here roll to the basket, all the defenders for the Phoenix, they go with him. That leaves Lee wide open in the corner. Oh my gosh, all day long, wide open. Reggie Lynch attracts the crowd. The hands, the gather, the soft left-handed hook. He's been the difference to Illinois State in this game.
Lynch right now with 8 points. Well, they got the motif right, even if they didn't spell prescription correctly. And Lynch gets a much-deserved breather. This is a team where minutes are well distributed. None of the starters play more than 30 minutes a game. Lynch only 22 a night. So he sits and Illinois State leads. A lot of the line here. Illinois State has won 6 of their last 7. Green Bay hasn't lost back-to-back games in more than 2 years. Just one of 5 teams in the country that can claim that. And Sykes fouled on his way to the rim.
I'll tell you what, Sykes got past the first defender. But when Jones is waiting for him, 10 in the white, that's 6'10", folks, right there. 10 in the white, 6'10", 260. If he keeps his hands straight up, he forces Sykes to score over him.
3rd foul on Jones, the big man. And it's 2 foul shots for Sykes. Program's career leader in free throws, misses the first.
All-time leader in points at Green Bay. I'm sorry, second for Tony Bennett. 3rd in steals. And as you mentioned, Mike, free throws made all time.
The Phoenix, though, just 2 of 8 at the line. And you look at the first half, it was a 7-point lead at halftime for Green Bay. 14 of the 24 points for the Redbirds came at the line. So big disparity at the stripe favoring Illinois State.
Green Bay could use Tony Bennett tonight. All-time leading scorer for the Phoenix, his dad, Dick Bennett. Great coach at Green Bay, Wisconsin, who took the Badgers to the Final Four. Then he took Tony and himself out to Washington State.
4 on the shot clock. Lee bounces his way into a foul. They could have used Tony Bennett all year. They only scored 19% of their points from beyond the three-point line.
Tony Bennett, a great player for the Phoenix. Played professionally for a little while and has turned into one of the nation's best coaches.
He's got the first UVA taking on Belmont in the first round. I should say the second round.
Whatever round, they're going to have to defend. The shooters are Belmont. That pack line defense is going to have to extend just a little bit more than the shooters of Belmont. Rick Byrd can go toe-to-toe to anybody.
Rick Byrd, the chairman of the NCAA Men's Basketball Rules Committee. They'll be looking at these NIT games to evaluate how the 30-second shot clock worked out, how the 4-foot restricted arc worked out. So far, after last night's 9 games, more points, more possessions. Although a little bit more of a lower scoring affair tonight.
And poor defense last night. And lack of intensity.
McIntosh falls to the ground, and he's called for the travel.
McIntosh, really talented player for Illinois State. 11 in the white. Small forward, strong, great bounce, good skills inside the arc.
Paul, we talked about that rules committee. One last note, they'll meet in the middle of May to look ahead at the rules, which next year is a rules change year for college hoops. Illinois State still with that 5-point lead. McIntosh goes to the rim again. And gets fouled despite missing the basket. The NIT, the forum for a couple of experimental rules this year. The shot clock with 5 seconds sliced away. And the 4-foot restricted arc. The intent there to reduce collisions underneath the basket.
And I think the restricted arc going at 4 feet makes it easier for the officials. The game becomes more exciting for the fans at 30 seconds. I don't think it should go to 24 like a lot of people say. But the women's game is at 30 seconds. So our men can make an easy adjustment. And our high school game needs a national shot clock with a universal time. Right now we only have 8 states in the United States with a shot clock.
Illinois State by 6 in the all-time series. The Redbirds have won 9 out of the 12 games where these two teams have squared off, including 5 straight. Sykes with the pull-up. That's where he was dangerous all year long, especially with that championship game loss to Valpo, but he got a lot of shots in open space like that.
Nice ball screen by McKinney to free him up.
Francis the rebound, feeds Sykes.
Look at that defense. 2 on the ball for a second. Gonna leave somebody open. And this is where Illinois State is just not as effective in the half court sometimes.
To the corner for McIntosh with penetration. In and out. And down the base.
Jones doesn't score like Lynch does inside. He's more of an offensive rebounder screener. Lynch is a legitimate post player.
Count the bucket and the foul. All of a sudden, Green Bay with a chance to bring it to a 1-point game.
Green Bay on the attack. Where's the defense? Old-fashioned 3-point play possibility.
After trailing at the half, Illinois State has outscored Green Bay 16-7 here in the second half. And Reggie Lynch with 8 points right now for Illinois State as Green Bay gets a chance to pull it within 1 at the free throw line. Old Dominion has defeated Charleston Southern, the 1 versus the 8. So regardless, for Illinois State, this is the last game they'll play here at home this year, because if they go on, it would be a home game for Old Dominion in the second round. On the other side, Murray State and Tulsa, the newcomers in the American this year. Great season for first-year head coach Frank Haight.
And from Murray State, Cameron Payne, one of the outstanding point guards you don't hear enough about in college basketball.
Khalil Small made the bucket and a three-point play. It's a one-point game. 4 fouls now after that foul on John Jones, one of the reserve big men for Illinois State.
Green Bay up 7 at the half. Illinois State with a great comeback going inside to Lynch. Lynch keeping the ball alive on the offensive glass. He has 6 offensive rebounds. The Phoenix have responded.
He cuts to the rim, gets 2 more. Lynch now into double digits with 10.
Green Bay has no answer for the big guy. When they suck down on the dive, excuse me, it leaves the shooters wide open.
It's now 6 made field goals in the second half for the Redbirds. They only made 5 in the first 20 minutes.
Nicely screened by the Phoenix, but how about that defense by Illinois State? 3 guys converge on the ball.
The Redbirds became Angry Birds, swarming in on the ball.
Hey, don't cut into Greg Marshall's branding now. Playing angry.
Lob for Lynch. He got to the backside of the defense. Back-to-back buckets. It's a 5-point advantage. 9 of his 12 points after halftime.
No pressure on the pass. Weak side help was late. Lynch with great hands goes up and gets it.
Francis, nice feed for Kenneth Lowe, running the lane.
Great cut by Lowe. Green Bay's going to have to make a decision how they're going to cover Lynch. They have to get some pressure on the passer and get some weak side help, or it's going to be too easy. Look at the spacing, 4 around 1.
Lynch got his hand on that ball, nearly an offensive rebound.
Yeah, well, when he doesn't score, Mike, you're right, he gets the offensive glass.
Sykes gets just his second made 3 of the game, but it ties it up at 44.
And this guy's a game changer. Kiefer Sykes, the 2-time Horizon League Player of the Year.
Lynch caught it on the block, gets double teamed.
That time he was a little bit further out. Good push out by the defense. Greg Mays made him catch it away from his sweet spot.
Sykes falls to the ground. Francis there to pick it up. Kiefer Sykes right now the only player in double digits, 11 points. That was the case in their Horizon League championship game loss to Valpo when they only scored 44.
Simple little tandem high ball screen. Lynch rolls, pockets pops. They go 4 around 1. If they don't throw it to Lynch, there's driving lines.
$15-footer.
Good challenge by Lynch. Now, he doesn't run the floor real fast, but he's a great target inside.
Step back, Hawkins. The freshman too much. A lob. Francis catches, collects, and scores.
Great vision by Kiefer Sykes. He can advance it with the dribble or the throw-ahead pass. That was beautiful.
And don't be shocked if you see Sykes on the receiving end of a toss like that. He'll get him for a lob on a dunk 1 or 2 times a game.
He's going to get one upstairs. I can guarantee it before the game's over. Out of a timeout, Brian Wardle will run a lob for Sykes.
May called for the foul, and Lee on his back adds 2 to his tab.
Illinois State looking for the big guy. Reggie Lynch calls for it. Great hands, catch and finish. Green Bay comes right back in conversion. Sykes with the throw ahead. Green Bay within 2.
2-point lead for Illinois State. Paul Biancardi. Let's go inside the play with the Redbirds.
Look at the spacing by Illinois State. They got 4 guys behind the line, and the big fella's going to go inside. And then Lee sizes up his defender. No weak side help. Francis should be in the weak side help. He's not there. Lee recognizes the driving line, takes the hit on his back, gets to the foul line, and 1. He's a quick, clever, competitive guard.
The sophomore out of Maywood, Illinois, with a chance to add to already a career best night, 18 points, and he's done it all while taking just 7 shots.
Well, he knows he's got to distribute for the Redbirds. He's got to get night shots, the ball inside of Lynch. Good recognition of the open driving line.
Cantor thought about the 3, the 30-second shot clock, now under 10 seconds, and it's a turnover for Sykes into the hands of Lee. Jones, McLeod, a lethal 3-point shooter.
Boy, when McLeod shoots it, we all think it's going in. 6 for 7 in the Valley tournament.
But 0 for 3 tonight.
Sloppy pass. Right now, you cannot be tentative if you're on the floor. If you're in the game right now, your coach, trust what you can do. You have to play to your instincts.
They feed the post. McIntosh unable to finish.
A lot of shots, Mike, missed in this game within 12, 15 feet. Defense has been good.
Cantor, only 2 of 7 from 3 after that miss. Still a 1-possession game. The 2015 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship tips off Friday at noon Eastern on ESPN2. You can catch every moment of the tournament on the ESPN family of networks. And for more information, visit NCAA.com, your home for all 89 NCAA championships.
I told you who I like in that, right? Dayton Flyers.
On the women's side, yes.
On the women's side. Jim Jayberg, 6 straight NCAA tournaments for the Dayton Flyers. There's another coach in Dayton, you know, beside Archie Miller.
UD Arena, a popular place to be this time of year. McKinney with the left hand. Very nicely done.
Green Bay not a lot inside in terms of post play. They beat you at the bounce. They get to the foul line. Beautiful left-handed hook.
And that was a similar theme for Green Bay during the Horizon League regular season. A late February game against Cleveland State at home. The Vikings went on the road and picked up a win, largely in part due to Anton Grady, a big man who had a great night against the Phoenix. Trey Lewis, Charlie Lee, a big part of that as well for Gary Waters' squad. Cleveland State in the postseason. They were the CIT as well as Oakland, although they lost last night. Valpo in the NCAAs. 4 teams from the Horizon, 5 teams from the Valley in the postseason.
And I know that each league would love to get multiple bids to the NCAA tournament and the NIT tournament. And realistically, the Valley gets 2 and the Horizon gets 1. There have been some years, though, the Horizon League has gotten 2. When I was in the league, Butler and Milwaukee both made it.
Huge shot for Deshaun Knight. 3-pointer with under 5 minutes to play here in Normal. And Sykes stopped by Lynch. Keeper Sykes shooting 4 of 14 from the field. Knight going right back at it. The hot hand has 5 in a row. The foul is on Reggie Lynch, his 3rd.
How about the block by Lynch with the left hand? And now the drive by Knight. Right to the basket. Lynch takes a crowd with him when he rolls to the basket. That big fella right there opens up driving lines for his teammates.
4-point game is Small knocks down the free throw. Brian Wardle has gone to his bench and deeper into his bench, much more than he normally would in a tight game like this because of foul trouble. Small only played in 19 out of their 32 games prior to tonight.
Let's see if Green Bay doubles Lynch, make him a passer, and try to make Illinois State take a jump shot.
Akun Purcell fouled and gets the bucket to go. Momentum swinging the Redbirds' way.
But that's just a little flex cut along the baseline. Akun Purcell takes that jump stop gather, puts it up. Lynch set the screen. That defender has to make the cutter go below the screen. Didn't happen.
Akun Purcell, the newcomer of the year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Redbirds by 6, under 4 to play. The season ends for one team while the other takes on #1 seeded Old Dominion. Out of bounds, and the ball stays with Green Bay. Illinois State looking to avenge a home loss in the NIT from 2008. Well on their way with the lead down the stretch. Jackrabbits and Rams, we've got Phoenix and Redbirds. This second half has been decidedly in favor of Illinois State, outscoring Green Bay by 13. A lot of that thanks to Reggie Lynch, as well as Deshaun Knight. 19 points between the two of them here in the first 16 minutes of the second half.
Mike, Illinois State has made a concerted effort in the second half to get Reggie Lynch the basketball, whether it's been for a score or for inside-out basketball, or simply been a decoy diving to the basket off a ball screen. He's been the difference in this game in the second half.
On the other side, Green Bay led by Sykes with 11. McKinney on the floor with 4 fouls. Also has 11 after that bucket. Brian Wardle needs him on the floor. Jordan Faust also has 4 fouls. He plays defense at the top of the key. Lob. Oh! Akun Purcell out of nowhere. Rejection by Lynch. Sykes under 15 to shoot.
They can't penetrate that zone defense of Illinois State. It's long and athletic.
Francis has the miss. 6-point lead for the Redbirds.
Green Bay can't take a lot of time.
Mays fading away, altered by Lynch. If he doesn't block it, he is a factor.
And now if you're Illinois State, don't take your foot off the gas. Go inside to the big boy who got you here, Reggie Lynch.
Lynch rolling to the rim. Finds himself open, and Sykes is forced to foul.
Well, this has to be a SportsCenter top 10. No screen. Akun Purcell makes a sharp cut on the baseline with the emphatic dunk. Great pass by Paris Lee. Akun Purcell, the eye contact, accomplished the execution.
The more you watch of Akun Purcell, we talked about the Division I offers and the high major offers he had. The Virginia Techs, the Auburns, the Marquettes of the world that wanted to come here because he wanted to get productive time right away. And he's done just that. Second leading scorer on the team throughout the course of the season.
Well, he brings in an attacking mentality. He gives his team a lot of energy. And he's an ambitious rebounder.
Francis, the freshman, has his pocket picked. And now Lee backs it out to bleed the clock.
That was a great decision by Paris Lee, the sophomore.
He kicks it out for Knight, a triple try. Yes, sir! Brian Wardle told Deshaun Francis, hurry up. He turned his back, and look what happened.
Paris Lee picked his pocket. The penetration, looking for his teammate. Deshaun Knight off the penetration. The find. And this could be good night for Green Bay.
What a second half for the Redbirds. They made 5 baskets in the first 20 minutes, scored 24 points, and trailed by 7, and now a 10-point lead and a chance to send Green Bay home for good. Here comes crunch time for the Phoenix. The ball with Kiefer Sykes, back-to-back Horizon League Player of the Year. He tries the 3. And who else but Lynch there for the rebound. And he picks up a foul. That's on Jordan Faust. And his night is done, his 5th foul.
Reggie Lynch, not a great athlete, not a lot of lift, but he has a pair of secure hands, long arms, and when he puts his hands on the basketball, he gets the possession.
Every wrestler's season has led to this. Just the 2nd year of college hoops for Reggie Lynch. And his free throw, a high bounce and in. This team for Dan Muller last year was the least experienced in terms of D1 playing time in all of college hoops. This year, all of his players are in either their 1st or 2nd years of college basketball. They were within 20 minutes of the NCAA tournament and now 90 seconds away from moving on to the NIT.
And Mike, when we watched that win against Wichita State, one of the best wins in school history.
Foot on the line for Small.
Knight trying to draw the foul, and he does.
Paul, let's look back to that first half where Green Bay really had a chance to make a mark on this game. They led by 7 at halftime. They shot 45%, but they had to put away Illinois State at that point. The Redbirds shot 20% and had 14 of their 24 points at the free throw line.
What kept Illinois State in the game, Mike, in the first half, was their defense on Sykes. There was always a wall built in transition. The defensive conversion was great. They all got back, and in the half court, they took away his vision, his space, and they didn't allow him dribble penetration, and that's where he's so good, Kiefer Sykes.
He's had an incredibly difficult night, shooting 4 of 14, and has been sitting on 11 points now for quite some time.
I mean, the Phoenix averaged 72 points a game. Right now, 21 points below that average. Dan Muller, 2-time all-defensive team here at Illinois State, and he was the Defensive Player of the Year. That defense that he played, he's coaching it right now.
He went to the NCAA tournament back in 1998. They beat Tennessee, then lost to Arizona. Miles Simon, our colleague, Mike Bibby on that squad.
Coach Muller spent 12 seasons with Kevin Stallings, who is highly regarded in the coaching profession. He's putting his stamp on this Illinois State program.
Sykes now has 14. Jump ball, and the possession arrow favors the Phoenix. There's Reggie Lynch. What a night for him. 15 points, 8 rebounds.
Mike Kiefer Sykes is going to get a chance to play after Green Bay. If he doesn't make the NBA, it's a possible second-round pick. Definitely someone who can go overseas and make a lot of money.
Foul called there on Tony Wills against Illinois State. And it's an interesting picture for Kiefer Sykes going forward. He's got a 4-year-old son, Kiefer Jr., who's very close with, and
KJ
lives in Chicago.
KJ, he told us.
And so, you know, he could go play overseas, but of course that would mean being separated for a long part of the year from his son.
Well, I just know if he doesn't make the NBA, there's money for him over in Europe and then, or in an international game somewhere. NBA athleticism, tremendous penetrating guard, outstanding in conversion.
So Reggie Lynch averaging 9 points on the season, really known more for his defense. Tonight sparked the Redbirds in the second half.
We sparked him on both ends of the floor. Offensively, attacking the offensive glass. He gets 3 per game. Here a little ball screen and slip, a quick slip. He's not fast, but he's efficient inside. And defensively, he protects the rim as a shot blocker with excellent timing. The ones he doesn't block, he changes, he alters.
His second half, 15 points.
A two-way post player, and when you can have a legitimate anchor on defense and a low post scoring threat on offense, you can be a very good basketball team, and it opens up the game for your guards.
15 points total on the night, 12 of those in the second half, and so it's 47 seconds away for Illinois State to move on. They'll take on Old Dominion, the #1 seed, assuming they win, and Tulsa and Murray State await on the other side. Here in the 78th annual postseason NIT, originally all played at Madison Square Garden. Now it'll be the championship game on April 2nd, played in New York City. Last year, it was SMU, Minnesota, and Richard Pitino's team came out the victor over Larry Brown's squad.
Well, some of the teams that have won the NIT have went on to have great success. Baylor won it in 2013. Next year they go to the Sweet 16. Stanford in 2012. 2013 they went to the Sweet 16 as well. So if you can get to the Final Four of the NIT and be fortunate enough to win it, it can springboard your season for next year. Build a lot of momentum in your program. It helps recruiting. And the coaches and players get that postseason experience, and they get that postseason taste. That's a very good taste. It's like a bowl of pasta. It's delicious.
Listening to Dan Muller talk about it, the extra practice time at least that they get here. He said, look, at this point in the year, we are who we are. The extra practice time doesn't do a whole lot for us.
Now, he said, my guys just want to compete for a championship. We want to win in advance or we'll go home, but it's not about practice at this stage of the year.
No, and they just wanted to play. They had 10 games from the end of Arch Madness to here in this game today. That's their longest layoff between the end of the regular season and the start of conference tournament time and Christmas.
This guy doesn't stop playing.
Hakun Purcell leaps. And will they give him the 2 free throws on the shooting foul? Yes, they will. Third foul on Sykes, and it stops the clock at 35.4.
Hakun Purcell, Missouri Valley newcomer of the year. His energy, his ability to attack off the bounce, get to the rim, finish through contact. An aggressive defender. Just an okay shooter. He needs to polish up that three-point shot in the offseason.
So Minnesota really kind of bucking the trend a little bit. They did not make the postseason this year, but those other teams have gone on to great success in the year after they were in the NIT.
Well, Minnesota didn't go anywhere this year, but Richard Pitino was still building that program and had an outstanding recruiting class. But Illinois State, I mean, they could make a run. They have high major size with Lynch and Jones. They have a tremendous scoring backcourt with Lee and Knight. And this guy shows up every night. The guy at the foul line, 44 in the white, Hakun Purcell.
As Sykes takes a seat on the bench. Certainly won't be the last that you hear from Kiefer Sykes. Second in school history in scoring, only behind Virginia head coach Tony Bennett, a tremendous three-point shooter in his own right, and back-to-back Horizon League Player of the Year awards for Kiefer Sykes. A guy who had very minimal recruiting interest coming out of Marshall High School in Chicago.
With your Green Bay, you have a lot to be proud of. Outstanding season, competing for a championship in the Horizon League. Brian Wardle, outstanding young coach. But tonight is the Redbirds' night.
So Illinois State, which was 20 minutes away from winning the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, now winners of 7 of their last 8, and they move on to face #1 seed Old Dominion in the second round of the NIT. (69-56), a 13-point triumph at Illinois State after scoring 24 points in the first half. Scores on 45 in the second stanza. So they've got #1 Old Dominion. What do they need to do to prepare for that game?
They need to get the ball inside to Lynch. Two outstanding defensive teams, Illinois State and Old Dominion. Lynch could be the difference in that game, just like he was in this game.
Akun Purcell with 14, Knight with 17, Lee with 18 for Illinois State. Once again, the final, the Redbirds 69 and the Phoenix 56. Illinois State moving on. Green Bay as its season comes to a close. Coming up next, more NIT hoops. South Dakota State against #1 seed Colorado State. We get set to go out west. But first, here's this studio update with Matt Shea.